Hello. This week I'm joined by Sarah Armour. She's the founder of the Moonual, and we'll discuss this Wednesday's full moon in Sagittarius. I couldn't tell you a single word about Sagittarius, so we are starting from real scratch. She always informs me. For those of you who are triggered by bodies of mythology and mystique for which we have no evidence, I tell you, come and listen as a story and let yourself be inspired. So what I love to do during these talks with Sarah is I take out a notebook and I let myself take her little nuggets and start to create headlines in my journal. And it's such a profound time, always, without fail. So let me just title this talk, Full Moon Wednesday is Wednesday, okay? Themes. Okay, I think that'll do. Okay, wonderful. Here we go.
Hello. Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
Hello, my angel.
Hello, darling. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm actually been like freakily good. Like I don't know what's going on. Like
scary.
This past weekend was like one of the best weekends like of my life. I felt.
Oh my god, how cool!
I know, it was so fun. It was so.
And I love that too because I feel like you've been in sort of this like alternative like kind of like will the pain ever end state. So like to hear that you had like a fab weekend, I'm like fabulous.
Yeah, it's great. I like that you call pain alternative. I'm like, is it though? I feel like it's so anyway. So, but this is all great news, and yes, I'm sure other people are feeling happy. It is summer. We do have some like good vibes around. I'm so excited. I'm like appearing without a filter right now, and it's such a nice thing because my friend Annie who visited, she was like, why do you use that filter? I personally think the filter that I tend to use is like gorgeous. And like if anyone needs a filter recommendation, like private DM me. But
yeah, which one? Send me afterwards. I mean, I'm always trying to look more gorgeous. Like I'm here for that.
Oh my God, actually this would change your life. Because it's like, okay, so I scoured like the beauty ones at some point. Okay. So like for anybody who's just joined or is joining later, like I'm just being completely transparent with you. Like I might know more about filters than you do just because you didn't waste your time in that way. And like I'm now off filter. Like, what Annie said to me, which was really cool, is she was like, you look like you get like fillers when you do that filter. And she's like, what you have naturally is harder to get than like people can put a filter on. And I was like, that's so cool. That's such
I know what you mean.
I don't know. The lighting's also good in my apartment right now because I have the sun facing me, whatever. Anyway, if anyone needs a beauty filter, I have like really gorgeous ones, like a selection, and I'll send you the picture of it.
Like I feel like I don't have the good beauty filters, but like I'm a like it's like for me like this is sort of like where I'm at mostly.
Yeah,
like I have like all the funniest. Like I truly feel like let's see like like I could go like very alternative, but it's like like I could do the whole thing like this. I could do it like this the whole time.
I know you can.
I don't have any beauty filters. I have like ridiculous filters.
You have like the ones that are pre-programmed for like adolescents.
Well, if my chart is nothing but ancient acting out the like I am like the physical embodiment of an adolescent. I am the soul embodiment of a fucking 1,000-year-old ancient. So I the filters are the least I can do to have a little fun. But now we're kind of basic. I do think you look gorgeous. I agree. You're natural beauty. You are radiant. You do not need any kind of filter. I don't need any kind of filter necessarily, but I certainly love a doggy face for the comedy.
You guys
lives I do.
People who are joining right now, you just missed a great little segment, so you can watch it later. It's all about like filters. I think some of you would love to play with it. I personally have I don't have issues with my like face and my beauty. Like I just don't like think about it that much.
You do happen to be beautiful, I will say.
Thank you. I love playing with filters. I think it's great. I'm also not anti-filter, but anyway, greetings from me and Julana. Okay, so let's get to it because we have some ladies on here who I love.
For some reason, I cannot see the chat, which is fine. So you'll have to just tell me if anyone chats anything in.
It's fine. All right. So let's start at the very basic facts. So Wednesday is the full moon in Sagittarius. We're also in eclipse season, which you told me previously lasts like a month and a half, and we're like 2 weeks in.
Well, it's sort of debatable like when it starts. Like, to me, I started feeling it right after this last. So we had our last new moon 2 weeks ago, and that was kind of like the ending of the non-eclipse season. And so the minute that that ended, we entered eclipse season, and now we're in the throes of it. So on Wednesday, we have an eclipse, and then 2 weeks later, on June 10th, we have an eclipse. And eclipse cycles last about, like 18 months-ish. It depends. But it's like basically like or maybe, it just depends. But like for like a year and a half every year, whenever there is a new moon or a full moon, that happens on the axis where the north and south node are currently inhabiting, we have eclipses. And so what that means more really, like functionally, is that the earth is actually getting in the way of a typical lunation. So at a typical full moon, we would have this opposition between the moon and the sun, where they were, the moon is illuminating everything in the underbelly or on the earth plane of what that sun is trying to like sort of, what the sun is obviously and easily radiating, but when it's an eclipse, earth gets in the way. So this full moon will appear to be like blood red, and it will not be a reflection of the sun on the moon. It will be a reflection of the earth's like interception
Okay, so
of
we're like
the sun and the moon.
basically you can't see this. So for folks who just joined, whatever, who are confused like me a little bit, like basically eclipse season is when the earth is in between the moon and the sun and kind of messing with their ability to illuminate each other.
Yeah, because usually it's like a straight shot, right? Usually there's like a straight shot between, we have these incredible full moons and we go, okay, I get it. On an internal level, that full moon is showing us the other side, the emotional side, the earth side of the story that is being projected, radiated, illuminated just all season, right? So like, last time we had a full moon, it was, what was it? So it was Scorpio. So we had a Scorpio full moon, right? So it was Taurus season, but that Scorpio full moon was really illuminating the underbelly of the larger value issues and earth issues and money issues.
This is significant, you guys, because what Sarah is basically saying, I think, you tell me if I interpret this correctly, like you've told me before that eclipse season is not a good time to manifest. And it's sort of, you seem to be saying like the reason why it's not a good time to manifest is because nothing's being like shown to us really explicitly. Like that's not being, right?
Mark, you're so smart. That's why I like to do these with you. That's exactly right. It's because during eclipse season, not only can we not see everything that is going on, but even more than usual, but there's also like, eclipses represent fate moments. So, in a normal new moon or a normal full moon, we would like release or call in appropriately, right? Yeah. During eclipses, we don't really want to, we do want to, in the new moon, we will want to do some kind of like intention setting or calling in. On the full moon, we do want to release, but instead of it being like releasing things from like our own ego storylines, like here's the thing I've been working on, and so now I'm going to release this. When eclipses happen, it's fate. So what you want to do, like I'm really excited for Wednesday because we're going to do an exercise that if it's fun to do, I think I'm going to do a longer course on it, like sort of how to understand the mythology of your chart. But what we're going to do on Wednesday, and what I encourage all of you to do, instead of using this full moon to, look at the storylines of what you've been trying to call in or create or whatever, and declaring or releasing or whatever, this is all about noticing. It's all about noticing where Sagittarius is in your chart. And even if you're not that advanced, noticing what people, situations, what opportunities seem to just be either reappearing in your life, like randomly didn't call it in, ran into this person I knew back in the day, and now we're talking about something that can change the way things go moving forward, or we're finding ourselves having those final release moments, whether it's in relationships or in job opportunities. And because it's Sagittarius, I do think it's going to be specifically around ideas, like beliefs about ourselves or beliefs about the world or beliefs about the way that we just, even if we do all the self-help work in the world, there are certain things that are so hard. Certain things, like even for me, like I always joke that I'm like such a great coach, and I am simultaneously so uncoachable. And part of it is because on an internal level, I do feel a sense of, I do trust myself, and I trust my intuition. I trust my instincts. So no matter who tries to tell me what or illuminate what for me or show me, it's like at the end of the day, there are things where I'm like, yeah, but you don't get it. Like, I'm coming from this perspective, but we all have that. Like, let's not be fooled. We all have certain beliefs that are so ingrained in us that we think, yeah, that's true for you or that's true for other people, but for me, you don't really get my trauma or what I've been through or the way that I work. And so this Sagittarius eclipse, because we have the South Node, which is all about, it's the South Node is really like the past life drainage point. It's like if the whole year is a Gemini shower, the whole year is also a Sagittarius drain, like and washing away. So now that we have this eclipse that's really close to the ecliptic, it's really close to that South Node and that North Node. This is sort of a how do I even want to put it? There's a real punctuation of the lessons that we've been learning since like December of last year, when this eclipse cycle started, and it's not going to end until December of this year. So, you know, one of the things that we're going to do on Wednesday is I'm going to give you some specific dates to go look at and then come and report back at, because instead of trying to like manifest or create or call in, we just want to actually get super clear about the storyline. Like, okay, during these XYZ dates, like, who has been randomly there every time? Or have I been sick at all these times? Or have I been, there are messages that we actually can receive and observe and hear differently than if we were just trying to like control the story. If we can just observe the story, we may be involved in certain storylines or endings or new beginnings that we're not even totally present to because it's so out of our control.
Okay, I love you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense, and it's like very deep stuff. I want to just go back a little bit to what is, you've already alluded to the fact that Sagittarius somehow relates to beliefs. What else is true about Sagittarius energy?
So Sagittarius energy is the energy of travel, of long distance travel, of adventure, of culture, of the truth with a capital T. It is religion. It is the adventurous spirit. It is like, I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden we are here and Jupiter, I mean, we also have, aside from this being eclipse season, we're also entering a retrograde season. So we are about to enter, like, basically from now until, it depends on which retrograde you're tracking, but if you want to know, like, overall, from now until, like, I'm looking at my notes, like, even until December, but like Mercury is going to be retrograde from the 29th of May until July. Then we have Pluto is going to be retrograde until October. We have Saturn that just went retrograde. It's going to be retrograde till October. Jupiter will be going retrograde in June till October. Neptune is now will be going retrograde.
All these retrograde planets, is that
right?
bad?
Okay. Well, no, it's awesome. Like, so, but I bring this all up even without the specific details of each one. It's like when you have all of these retrogrades happening at the same time as this very, I think it will end up being highly demonstrative South Node eclipse. You know, retrogrades are not a bad thing. I'm so sad for all of the people out there who are up on pop astrology enough to go, oh no, it's retrograde time, but then they actually think that's a bad thing. I live for retrograde time. Retrograde does not mean that anything is bad or wrong or fucked up. It means that, like, if you think of each planet as having its own kind of like character, personality, identity, and it's moving through the zodiac, just, you know, here we go, moving forward. When it's time for it to move retrograde, which means it appears to be going backwards, and it travels back through the area that it just that it just traversed. It's almost just like an edit. Like, it's like, God forbid, every time you wrote a journal entry or a first draft of something, or thought you understood something and then found out that you didn't, but now you've committed. Retrogrades are the time to just like, it's just basically going through everything with like a red pen and being like, okay, so in this area of my life, these are the things that I committed to, or that I thought that I was committed to, or I thought that I was going for. Now that I've moved towards that and I've learned a couple lessons, let me revise. It's the most fabulous time for revision.
I love that. And so is the planet actually like retracing its steps back home?
It's exactly what it's doing. And home is, what is home, right?
Yeah.
But it is retracing its steps. So, for example, we have Mercury. Mercury right now is at 24 Gemini. It is going to station on the 29th. So what is that, like Friday, Saturday, like the end of this week?
Yeah.
And then it's going to move back from 24 Gemini. It's going to now go to 16 Gemini. Once it gets to 16 Gemini, it will finish its retrograde, and then it will move forward again. So it's basically like whatever went on while you want to look in your chart where there is, where you between 16 and 24 Gemini, whatever was going on from the time that Gemini arrived there, and in your chart, especially if you have planets there. And Marguerite, for both of us, this is like basically right on our 16 Geminis. Like, I'm 14 Gemini, you're 16 Gemini. It's right on our ascendant. 24 Gemini is at it's in both of our first houses, right? So there are certain things that for us, for example, over the past like month or so, we've been like, ooh, getting comfortable with this new identity, getting comfortable with this rebrand, I think I'm gonna do it this way. Now that Mercury is moving retrograde, aside from whatever like, tech or communication or issues come up, which are always there, not to fuck us up or have us like quitting our jobs or buying new anything. It's just to see how we deal with snafus or hangups. And if we can just go, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, I'm not going to flip out. I'm going to take the opportunity to not flip out because this is a totally expected thing, right? Mm-hmm. But aside from just that, right, aside from that, it's like now, like for both of us, we're going to want to go, ooh, okay. So this south node is going to, with the moon there, is going to release in an even bigger way than we would ever release, and totally out of our control, certain people, places, things. And especially if you know in your chart where Saturn is in that area of your life, there are going to be faded endings, faded washouts, faded disappointments, faded conclusions to stories that we didn't even know either we were still in or that we really thought we were in, right? So we can't do anything about that.
In my chart, Sarah, where is Sagittarius in my chart?
Well, in your chart, it's in the 6th house. That's what I was telling you. Like, for you, it's about 6th house stuff. So it's like your service to others, your daily routines, your mental health, your physical health. If there are certain beliefs, I'm not saying start drinking again, Marguerite, but that might not have actually been the issue. Do you know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that where you go, so for us, for both of us, it's in our 6th house. So for us, we're looking at like what beliefs of how we structure our 6th house day-to-day rituals, whether it's in the Sagittarius sort of zone of like beliefs or ideas or what we think we really understand, or how we go about adventure, how we go about fun, how we go about speaking our truth, how we go about getting our rocks off, how we go about partying. All of the things that we think that we believe about what we need to do every day or do not need to do every day, or talk to ourselves in a certain way so that we believe certain things, there are going to be, there's just going to be a release in the area of wherever it is that on a conscious level we don't think that there is a problem or or an ending that's necessarily like has to come about or whatever, and it's gonna open our eyes to this other uncomfortable perspective, and only uncomfortable because we haven't practiced thinking it, right? Like when we have uncomfortable feelings or thoughts, we always are like, it's so fucking fucked up, I'm having this uncomfortable feeling. And it's like, thank God that if you are a human being that is not coming upon uncomfortable feelings on the regular basis, you're not doing it right, okay? So whatever comes up between now and the end of the week, and really between now and the end and the middle of June, don't be shocked by anything either ending or restarting or changing. Like, I really believed this, and now low key I have a whole different idea about it. But then when that Mercury goes retrograde, like, so for the two of us, the eclipse is happening in our 6th house. So when we identify and observe what this storyline that's been trying to emerge from our unconscious, from karma, right?
Yeah.
Then we go, oh, well, actually, and now that Mercury's retrograde, I'm going to now rethink the way that I've been marketing myself or branding myself or identifying myself or whatever, right? So we want to be super open, really starting now. And I know it's devastating. It's a lot. I want to say till the end of the year. Eclipse season is not going to last the whole time, but be so flexible, be so open. This is a huge awakening in the area of the things you think you believe. Look,
The things you think you believe.
Bill Gates on Epstein Island with a girlfriend that he agreed before he was married to keep seeing, and then he's hitting on all the women at Microsoft. These are revelations, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out the woodwork. I mean, Sagittarius represents the truth. So if there are things in your life that you've been trying to get away with or hide or even lie to yourself about, that is not going to work anymore. It is going to be exposed. You are going to be exposed, and you are going to have to deal with the after effect.
I have had a new mover and shaker in my life be like incredibly honest, like really, really incredible ability to express truth. And that feels really fresh and exciting.
It is fresh and exciting. I mean, that's so great too, because you're such an Aquarius that it's a little different for you, because I think if you have, for me, I'm such a Cancer Capricorn that when people, that's what I'm saying, people try to bring fresh ideas to me, I'm like, okay, but you don't get it. I'm the mother and the father of us all. So, you know what I mean? Aquarians are yeah, give me more info. Let me take it all in and then keep moving forward, right? So that's a very, sort of an educational, it depends on your chart, right? I hate
that's a good
change.
That's a good
you like change. Yeah.
All of us in some ways feel closed-minded, right? And then others of us feel really, really open-minded. For this season, I mean, what's more important right now? That we're in eclipse season or that we're in a Sagittarius energy, in your opinion?
Well, it's the combination, because the sun is in Gemini, so really we're actually in a Gemini energy, right? But the whole thing with Gemini is duality and the other perspective and multiple perspectives and twins and partnerships and sort of this if we're talking about all the signs and everything being about duality, right? When the sun is in Gemini, we're being encouraged to hear people out and to learn new things, and to Sagittarius is asking those questions, or Gemini is asking those questions, Sagittarius is getting those answers. So it's that is so Gemini is all about asking the questions, finding out more, staying really open to the fact that these two sentences that seem to be opposing each other or don't make sense actually exist completely organically together. Whereas Sagittarius is no, I'm right. This is the only way. If it is not the only way, there's something wrong with you. And so this is where these two polarities, even between each other, exist. So in our own lives, in the solar energy, the North Node, there's all this emphasis on community. I mean, I also think it's kind of interesting too, even as extreme as an Israel-Palestine example, where the only way to have any kind of discourse about this really is to acknowledge that there are two sides, meaning that there are two different groups of people having two completely different, and yet somehow exactly the same, but different psychological experiences that then impact their behavior. We have to zero in on how everybody thinks that they think that their story, but we want to expand our mind and get to know the other side of the story, so that we might, South Node, Sagittarius eclipse, let go of some of our old staunch beliefs and actually come to this place of higher compassion and higher love, because we're not just in this like tunnel vision of my story. And that's really what this season is about.
Okay, so we've got like two active energies. We have Gemini acting on us through the sun. The sun is in Gemini. The moon
And the
is
North Node, like the fate, the shower we're in.
okay. I've been getting the vibe about like dissolving judgments. I mean, what does that word dissolving mean to you right now? And about especially like sensing, I don't know, I'm intuitively sensing a lot of like dissolving of harshness, like dissolving of anything that held you back, like dissolving of the idea that like you need someone to be whole, or whatever it is in your life, you guys, when you're listening to this later, whatever you're kind of kept you held tight. Is this a time of dissolving all in all?
Absolutely. I mean, South Node eclipses are always about dissolving, because it, again, like it isn't because we have like decided to let go or manifesting and therefore. It's like, no, there's going to be shit that leaves our lives, or people that leaves our lives, or point of views that change because they just fucking have to, after whatever it is that between now and the middle of June develops, right?
Okay, good.
So we have to be really open to this idea of dissolving, because I mean, look, if even talking about whether we're talking about the signs as modalities, right, or just like, I'm not a scientist, but like, you know, we know that even when things dissolve, they don't really disappear. When water melts, or when some, you know, when we were talking about my manifestation rituals,
Transmutes into something
transmute,
else.
exactly. So it's less that like something's now dissolved and it's gone. It's that it's dissolved and become something else. So we want to be so, it's alchemy. We want to be so present to what things feel like they are dissolving. And I think when you're talking about specifically the idea of like judgments dissolving, or harsh judgments dissolving, that is like so, that you're aligned, bitch, because that really is what North Node in Gemini and Gemini Sun wants us to understand, is that there is no room for judgment. There is no room for like righteous belief systems, because it's these righteous belief systems that have us locked into cultural wars that actually low key somebody else involved us in, and is now like puppeteering, right? So we want to be so open to the idea that that things changing is inevitable, and that it's not a bad thing. And so when we're talking about judgment, I mean, Sagittarius is a sign about judgment. Sagittarius is like, I'm right, you're wrong, this is true, this is the religion, these are the beliefs, these are the traditions, I know the truth, when in fact there is no truth, there is no spoon, right? So I think the dissolving and the dissolution of old ways of thinking and old judgments and just old storylines that, even if you think you are right, are actually keeping you locked into, you know, either an unhealthy or an unproductive, unhelpful pattern of behavior. Like, yeah, let them go.
You know, I wanted to loop back with you on something that I discovered through recent interviews with people of Chinese medicine practices. And they were talking about how summer is the time of the heart. Like the organ is the organ of the summer, according to Chinese medicine, is the heart. Anything, and so we talked about like yang energy, and energy being more like abundant in the summer, and eating red foods right now.
I want to say, you're gonna be so proud of me. I'm eating so many red foods.
Are you good? Because I texted you that. Yes.
I know, and I stuck with it. And now when I was at the grocery store, I bought all the red stuff, and I had plums last night for dessert, and I was just thinking of you the whole time.
Cute. And so what comes to you when I say that? Like, I know it's two different traditions, but like what comes about the heart for you right now?
Well, it's not two different traditions. I mean, we haven't quite entered into summer season yet, right? So like we will have I think it's on June 20th when there's actually like the summer solstice, and we enter that season, right? But actually, you know, so if Gemini
I thought that was the peak of summer. PS. I thought that was like the peak, and we're in it. I mean, Chinese.
Well, I guess it is.
Has us in summer.
I think in my view, at least until Memorial Day. We're not wearing white until Memorial Day. It's not summer. Okay, we don't. When I should wear my white jeans, it's summer. I cannot yet.
You're so right.
Okay. but it's interesting because, okay, so Gemini, which is like spring and our spring season, and we relate to it as spring because you can't wear white just yet.
No.
So Gemini is about connecting with our twins. It's connecting with our duality. It's meeting people. It's communicating. It's reaching out, right? That's Gemini.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, for the most part, the zodiac signs that come one after the other, right? So like if we're looking at, like Sagittarius and Capricorn, for example, they have certain things in common, but for the most part, they're very opposite energies, right? Like one switches to the other. But the only two signs, when I look at the zodiac chart and I think about Cancer and Leo, which are the two summer signs, these make up the bulk of our summer months, right? Like Cancer starts at the end of June, after you can wear white, and it starts at the end of June, and then Leo season goes until the sort of the end of August. Summer, sort of on brand summer. These two signs have much more in common than I think any of the other like neighboring signs have, and it's because both are completely and extremely overtly heart-centered. Both Cancer and Leo represent home and childhood and the heart, and they are expressively heart-centered, and they are emotional in two different ways, right? Cancer's maybe more emotional in a sort of a more weepy, sensitive, intuitive angle. Leo is more sensitive or more expressive in the, I feel this and I'm going to say it.
Oh,
right?
We're all about both of those energies. We are going to enjoy that.
Oh, we certainly are. And they're both about feeling comfortable at home and expressing your love and expressing your nurturing. So I find that Cancer and Leo have much more in common than most of the neighborhood signs in the rest of the zodiac. And it is all about, the biggest thing with both Cancer and Leo is that they are both completely heart-centered and heart-motivated signs.
Very cool. Cancer and Leo. Okay, so mark that down, you guys, for the summer. Cancer and Leo are our two dominant signs for the summer, and they happen to be very heart-centered, which works very well with the Chinese medicine idea of the heart as the organ of the summer. So
totally does.
A few suggestions for this full moon on Wednesday. You've said start to look carefully at your rules and habits, things that you're kind of sticking to. What are the old beliefs that are no longer working? Any other things? Like you always give great suggestions, like great time to clean the house, great time to like read more news. Anything else you want to mention people should be doing?
Well, you should definitely come to the Moonio on Wednesday because I will walk you through the journal exercise of your dreams for this eclipse. But if you don't want to do it, with me, you want to do it on your own, the thing to do right now is to really notice, since like December of last year, what have been the most like unexpected or not manipulated storylines that have emerged over the course of, I mean, it really is, I mean, this eclipse season is interesting, like the whole season, the whole Gemini, Sagittarius axis, because other than that first eclipse that started us off in December, right, with the Great Conjunction, then the whole eclipse, story, like long-term storyline is coronavirus, is the pandemic. And I think it's really interesting that as we're coming to the end of this eclipse season, so we have this eclipse, we have the June 10th eclipse, and then we have our first eclipse in the Scorpio Taurus axis at the end of the year, but it's a different cycle. But then we have the final Sagittarius Gemini eclipse happening in December. So from December to December, we are really in one story. I mean, it always changes with the eclipses. You're always in another one. It's not like, no, the movie's over, it's over. No, it's just another movie's going to start. But we're coming into the third act of this Gemini Sagittarius fate like explosion, where the people and the relationships and the local community and the community and the way that you learn and communicate and understand is totally broadening, even though there has been a limitation around who we can see. I mean, that's what's so interesting, right? Like even the Moonual, now that things are back in real life, hypothetically, I could have the next few Moonuals in person again.
But then everyone around the world would miss out.
Right. Like, that's what's so crazy. And it's like, had this not happened,
Yeah.
I was so resistant, Marguerite, to doing anything online or to doing, and because I'm such a kinest, I love to perform. I love to be in real life with people. I love a human interaction, right? So from my thinking brain, I would have never been like, let's just do it online. Now that things are opening up again, I want to say to like my partners at the Moonual and you and all the people that come, I want to be like, I think we should keep this online.
Yeah,
and I would
you
have
have to. Oh
never
my God,
fucking
you would
expected.
like
I have to.
100%. Yeah, you have to. I
Right?
can't, like, it's not enough. It has to be. Like,
But
you
what a
should go in
perfect
real life, like, every few months somewhere extra.
no, but it cannot but the Moonual actually we found out as a like multicultural global event online. Like right, if I did it in real life again, you couldn't come. You live across the country.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect example though of the kind of things where like you might have gone into 2020 thinking about your goals and thinking about what you're going to create and what your vision is. And now that we're almost done, uh, our whole perspective has shifted on so many different levels. And even me, if you had asked me at the beginning of 20, if you asked me at the end of 2019 what my politics were, I would have been so fast to be such a hardcore liberal Democrat, like put on my gravestone, I am a Democrat, right? But as we have gone through this year and we start to understand the high level of corruption and the high level of systemic racism and systemic corruption that is involved in, if you were on Epstein Island, there's a problem. The Clintons on Epstein Island changes everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obama drinking the water in Flint changes everything. Like all of a sudden it's not so easy to just be like one party is good and one party is bad. And what we're really seeing, talking about disillusion, is the dissolution of the party system as we know it and the dissolution of the American government as we know it. And it's going to take a process and nothing just like dissolves, unless we're talking about, I don't know, sudden catastrophic change. But even then, things don't, if the Middle East hasn't figured things out, we know that there's a long process of an evolution that we need to sit through as humans.
So there's this new guy in my life who I'm enjoying, and he told me, back in January, he said to me like, "Oh, you're coming out of a relationship, like there's no way you're going to want to be in a new relationship." And I was like, "Yeah, right." I mean, I felt like we can move, we can start over, like life can change in the snap of like, it's so fast. And it's so funny because we were sitting at dinner last night, and I basically told him like, you were right. It took like 6 months for me to like transmute. And I really will say that. It's not a breakup. This person and I love each other. We talk to each other. He's part of my life. It's just he has changed. The old thing has dissolved and the new thing has emerged. And this is kind of exactly what you just said, that power of time, that it's sort of like, it seems to me very connected to the eclipse season. It's like in the eclipse season, we're not forcing things from ego. It's like time is washing through our souls on multiple universes and
so well said. So well said. That's exactly what it is.
And what else? I mean, anything else you want to add on that? Because you gave.
Well, I think you're dead on, and I think that what you're saying is so right, because here's the thing: it's not that this guy. I mean, he was right because but he wasn't right because you can't. Like, I don't believe, and I am so not a hater. Like, I have no problem with serial. I do not believe the memes that are like, if you really want to heal, you need to be with just yourself. No, I actually think a lot of especially both of us, we're Gemini rising. So a lot of our best sort of mirrors, or some of our best, like...
Oh, these are hard to handle.
But some of our best, like, growth and evolution comes through being in relationship and seeing that mirror and seeing ourselves in different relationships to see ourselves differently, right? So like I totally believe that you can go from a breakup to a new thing fast, even if you're still getting over one of the things or not, right? But I think the conscious experience of that is very different than when you talk about that, the transmutation of one relationship to another relationship. That is different. And you cannot. So you can consciously quantum leap into you check out Talia Brava. She lives in Hawaii now on a fucking farm, right?
Costa Rica, I thought. Or no, she's doing a retreat in Costa Rica.
Retreat there, but she's in fucking Hawaii. She lives in a dream life, and like, you know, and it happened really fast. And the thing that she originally planned on fell through. She went there just like kind of like, okay, I don't really have a plan, but I'm gonna trust. And then she found an even better housing situation than the thing that fell apart in the first place, right? So like, yes, you can snap your fingers and go, I live here now, or I'm dating this person now, fuck it. But I do think that it's, you know, being a human is such an extravagant, intricate, multi-dimensional job to be a human. So there's like the physical stuff, there's the mental stuff, there's the emotional stuff, there's the spiritual stuff, there's the memories, there's the future visions, right? So we're kind of juggling all of these like multi-dimensional, you know, like tracks of a song, like the grooves. So yeah, we can just change the song if we want, but at the end of the day, the song that you were listening to before is still on the album. And if it makes you cry every single time, there's nothing you can do about that. You just got to keep listening until you fucking stop crying about it, right? So like, do you know what I mean? It's like, so even though all the tracks exist, and you kind of could know in January, I'm actually about to record stop, change it to this track. It doesn't, you don't get to then go, and I'm not emotional about this anymore, or I'm not nostalgic or emo or whatever. So they don't necessarily have to be separate processes, but I do think the like integration process, the contemplation process, the transmutation process, the alchemy process is the key word. And you do not get to snap your fingers and just like jump out of that storyline. You can in certain ways, you can in the physical, you can in the, but I think what we're all seeing now, and I see this for myself too, is like, I think what you're going to start noticing is that certain storylines, and I think for both of us too, so this eclipse is in our 6th house, but actually both of our 7th houses, relationships, marriage, long-term commitment, are ruled by Sagittarius. And then the June 10th eclipse will be much more about self and relationship. But this is kind of like the precursor to like, what do we need to change about what we're doing in the day-to-day, or what we believe in the day-to-day, so that when this other quantum shift happens in the area of who we're dating or how we're presenting and who that calls in for our, you know, Raya options or whatever. So, but either way, for both of us, this is heavily related to relationship, and it's heavily related to who we're being, so as to call in certain relationships. So even for me in my life, I'm noticing, and it's like, I could say it every time, and it's true every time, but it's different in this moment, I think, because I'm just noticing that certain relationship patterns that I find myself in ad nauseum, in a repeat loop, for the first time, because you can, again, it's process, right? Because like there were,
gonna say you're sick of them.
I'm sick of them, and I don't have the same emotional, reaction that I used to, and I don't have the same dreams or visions or ideas about what's going on. Not even that I was wrong before or that I'm right now, but just to notice that, oh, I actually don't give a shit about a lot of the things.
You're so much more of like a businesswoman than you were like 6 months. Like you just like
totally.
Like, do you even want? I don't know. What I'm picking up on is like, you were always so fine with the chaos, but you're kind of just like, I don't kind of need the chaos. Like I have like a lot of good shit going on. I don't really want this chaos.
Well, and I think it's also like the world is chaotic. So like I happen to thrive in chaos, but when things are normal and there's no chaos, I like a little chaos because it gets me up, right? But now everything is chaos. Yeah. So I don't want to be just like in the deluge of chaos. And I also,
because I know this means you're being good with your groceries. It means
I am eating red food right now, bitch. I am eating the red shit from the fucking produce aisle, bitch. I am healthier. I am drinking soda. I'm back, baby. But even that, right? Like, but see, that's where it's, thank you. But that's where it's like, it is all connected, right? Like, so, you know, there may be things about your eating or about your just slight perspective, just like, so for me, there's one person in my life, one of the boys in my, you know, harem or whatever, who I always had a lot of, this is not Randy, by the way, everyone relax, I'm not talking to Randy, but who I've always had a lot of compassion for and space for them to act in ways that, like, in my conscious mind have been unattractive, subpar, I deserve better, this is stupid. But because I didn't even care about the relationship in the first place, it was just like, whatever, act that way. Like, I don't even care. I like having you on speed dial when I'm single, you know?
Well, it sounds like also on a spiritual level, you like deeply, like, you're compassionate, like, for this person on like a deep soul level.
Well, and fuck my life. I'm compassionate for like all the fucking people on a soul level. So I can like excuse a ton in every area of my life. I can excuse a ton of bad behavior. And like so much of my life has been like Randy will always be like, I think those like girls are actually bullying you. And I'm like, really? Like there have been so many things where I just, because I don't experience life as like socially difficult or, and I do have compassion, and I mean, I've coached long enough. I just don't take anything that personally. I really don't. So even when people are acting shitty to me, my initial instinct is always like, aw, pobrecito. Like, what's wrong with you? Right? But now,
so much like Desi when you switched into the
oh my god, I love doing the Desi Spanish. Pobrecito,
also,
mi amor.
Melissa, we're gonna get back. We're doing a little personal caveat, and then we're gonna get back because we're gonna talk just about this full moon on Wednesday. I have 2 simple questions that are gonna help you, so I hope you stay for.
Excellent, and I cannot read the chat, so I have no idea what questions are being asked, and I will field them all. But I guess all this to say, that like it's not that I love this man or any of these men or these people in my life less, but I think what this moon is really about, if we're going to be conscious or creative or manifesting in any way, I think it's about boundaries. And I think it's about really identifying where you felt that there was like either like super porous boundaries or like so much compassion and belief and, you know, and even if you look at like Sagittarius meaning religion, right? How much of the horny pedophile priest behavior do we just excuse or do we just ignore or we just, you know, spotlight shouldn't have been spotlight. These cases should have all been handled, you know what I mean? So I think we're just noticing in our lives where certain compassion or certain beliefs or certain, I will never not identify as a person who is deeply loyal and deeply compassionate and takes nothing personally and can understand what's going on with almost anybody, right? That being said, I am just noticing that it doesn't turn me on in the way that it either used to not affect my level of like I'm actually turned off, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Like someone trying to like merge with you, like in the sense,
and someone trying to get, so like one of the people that I'm talking about, he's just, there are certain things about his character that are very shady.
Oh.
And, or just like, that doesn't make total sense. Untrustworthy, but like on a soul level, I trust him. But he's just like a fucking little idiot, and he does little idiot things all the time. Oh no, oh my god, did I lose you? But it's like, but I never take it personally, and I never make it mean anything because I don't think it does. I'm just like, oh, what a little idiot, you know? Whereas now I'm like, oh, what a little idiot. And also, I don't know if I want to, have little idiots put their dicks inside me anymore.
Yeah.
Because it actually is distracting, you know, and it actually is annoying. Like, so now I'm just really present to aside from my like blanket compassion, I'm also like, and you're annoyed, Sarah, and this is distracting, Sarah. And so I can be loving and compassionate, and I don't need to write him off or tell him to go fuck off to hell. But I also don't need to continue to be in the pattern of I'm down for whatever, just like because I like a little chaos and fun. It's like it's just actually boring, you know.
I like that. You're good.
So there are things that are
raising.
Yeah, there are things that are just leaving all of our lives now that are in service of a standard change, but there are going to be some things where we're like, no, I'm not doing it, and you're not going to have a choice. So when those things leave your life,
like, what does it feel like when we're resistant to a habit change? What does that feel like? Because I'd imagine we don't even like know about it yet. Like, well, I don't know the habit that I'm going to give up in 2 weeks. Like,
right. Well, that's a really good question. I think that that without giving an answer, because I could tell you, like in general, like from a coaching perspective, what resistance versus fear. I would say notice, like take notes, right? So this is not for manifesting, this is not for whatever, but this is for like research, right? Like take notes, copious notes, and they don't have to be like detailed, but bullet points, bullet journal it between now and the middle of June.
Mm-hmm.
What things on a daily basis are just fucking annoying to you? What things are what things continue to remain a problem aside from your own like self-talk or belief systems? What people, what situations, what jobs, what ways of receiving money, what ways of practicing faith and your belief, what rituals are you participating in, but you have been maybe low-key either pressing down or ignoring or justifying or compassionatizing why it's not perfect, but it's okay because don't even do, you don't have to do anything about it. Just notice what actually on a sincere level is just fucking annoying or is just not that interesting anymore or that's actually distracting, right? And by mid-June, you'll be, I think, either happily surprised or devastated about the truth about what you're actually feeling. And so when you notice that certain people, places, situations, things, jobs are washing in and out of your life, notice the initial feelings, but then notice as time moves on if the feelings change. Because I think that we have a lot of snap judgments or snap reactions or ideas about how things should be, so that even if they're not perfect, but that's how we want them to be, we're happy to just be in these things that we thought that that's what they were going to be, right? Because we get to be right and we get to predict and we're psychic. And it's like, no, fuck that. If you're actually annoyed on a regular basis or somebody is leaving your life and you are grasping for dear life, how does that feel? Does it feel like shit? Maybe. We can bring back through telepathy and manipulation whoever the fuck we've ever fucked before in our lives. They will always come back. You can always keep dating them. Do you actually want to? If the answer is yes, then fine. But be super... But either way, you're not even going to get to choose. There's going to be a wipeout and a calling in. But just, this is all, from now until mid-June, you just want to be such a diligent... Oh my God, LOL, Alexa, I know, you feel it too. But it's like you just want to be such a diligent observer of your own, like, because you can't really identify unconscious habits because they're unconscious, right? Yeah. So we want to be a witness to our experience on the mundane day-to-day basis. Notice when things wash out, what comes up for us. Notice when things call in or get called in, what comes up for us. Are we resisting new people? Are we resisting change? Are we resisting shifting our perspective? Are we so afraid to let go of an old idea? And why, you know? So this is all the time from now until like the middle of June. You can't control shit. Sorry. And you don't want to start any new projects or commit to anything brand new.
Notice how things feel.
Notice how it feels. Notice how it feels. Notice where if there are things that all of a sudden should have been really easy that are really hard, that's the eclipse. That's the eclipse giving you a heads up. This is not what you thought it was. Oh. And if there are things that you thought were going to be really fucking hard, but are actually really easy, and then you're getting layups left and right from the universe, making it easier and easier and easier, then whatever fears come up where you go, but no, I couldn't possibly. I'm just going to work for myself. I'm just going to whatever. Actually move towards that because it's going to happen either way.
Okay, so beautiful. So we're always most interested in this community in romance and creativity. So like
always.
So
and money, romance, creativity.
Yeah. Okay, so what, like, just really brief, like, sentence or two, what does this Wednesday full moon tell us about romance?
Well, I think this is an end of a lot of romance. And I think it's an end of, aside from just other people, it is kind of goes back to what I've been saying, which is like, I think with the moon and the south node in Sagittarius, I mean, we also have the asteroid Union going retrograde in Sagittarius, exactly conjunct asteroid Juno, the marriage asteroid, going retrograde in Sagittarius. So this is all, well, it means that when it comes to the area of love and relationships and romantic commitment, Juno, the wife in all of us, men, women, doesn't matter. That wifey part of us
Mhm.
is actually in retrograde because we could think about it, right? Direct is like the full on energy of that planet. Retrograde is the rethinking of that energy of that planet. So Juno is in retrograde with union, with the South Node, with the moon. I think that all of the inner wives, man or woman, this is not about gender, but the inner devoted partner in us is going, you know what? I actually don't care about making sure that you don't eat red meat or that you work out twice a day.
Mhm.
I actually am going to. So I think we're all having a
Mhm.
wipeout in the area of love and romance where we are
And the
giving.
obligation of it, like,
Well, the this I think it's like this. I think it's more of the not the obligation of it as much as the ways in which we are like either sacrificing ourselves or putting other people before ourselves, putting relationships, you know, sort of
yeah,
altering our truths
I can
so
feel
that it makes sense for them too, or I just want it to work and so I don't mind not having blah 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 blah. It's like, no, actually you mind. And
yeah.
you should mind, and we do mind. So that's really what's going on in the area of love. This is a wipeout of those old relationships, those old beliefs, those old kind of storylines that we've been replaying and replaying and replaying because we just think things are a certain way. They're not a certain way. They're not going to be a certain way moving forward. And if we don't take this opportunity to like, what did my ex-boyfriend used to, if it comes, let it. If it goes, let it.
Mhm.
1,000%. But notice, like more than anything, notice where have you sacrificed your own sense of self respect and self care and truth, like honesty and truth to yourself, from yourself, right? And all the things that are not actually in alignment with that is for our highest and best moving forward, they gotta go.
Oh goodness. Okay. All right, everyone. So basically, the summary there for romance is basically,
Let
I
it
mean,
go.
it's kind of hitting me hard. Yeah, but let it go. And where are you sacrificing? I mean, yeah.
I mean, like everywhere. That's even for me. Like I'm like, oh, like I can love all the men I love, and I can have all these exciting romantic lovers and things. But at the end of the day, end of the day, is the way that I'm doing romance, or is the way that I'm doing partnership, or are my beliefs about romance and partnership, are they actually in alignment with what I really want,
Yeah.
or are they creations like survival mechanisms from like the way I was raised and what I saw and what I observed as being possible? So am I just trying to be the cool girl that
Mm.
is like not focused on X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
because low key I don't even believe that exists. It's like, wait a second. When I think, you know how you can do it too? When you think about something, if you're thinking about it and there's any weight on your heart or there's
Mm.
anxiety
We have
or
two
it
more minutes,
feels,
by the way. Just give
oh
us
my
a
God, oh, I'll let it go. But if it feels heavy or stressful, let that go. If when you think about something, even if you don't know how it's going to happen or who this person is, but you can imagine a divine masculine or a paycheck or a job where you're like, that would be a fuck yeah. Even if you don't have an example of it, practice focusing on the direction of the fuck yeah. And if it's not a
Okay.
fuck yeah, trust that it's just not. Everything in your life should be a fuck yeah. Let's make
Okay.
it a fuck yeah 2021, 2022, please. It's
Yeah.
been a fuck no 2020.
All right. We have 1 minute. So creativity is the second most important thing here. What does the Wednesday full moon tell us about our creative lives?
Shake up your partnerships. Like if you've been partnering with people regularly and yet you feel stagnant, or there might be something about that partnership that reveals itself, or something that makes it clear how you should be partnering,
Mhm.
and or it could be just the kind of thing where you're like, you know what, I met this random person I met this person at Zabar's and I gave him my number and now we're going to talk about doing an animated thing that I had never thought of doing
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Random example, but it's like,
Go
don't
ahead.
be afraid to, all the new people coming in are meant to come in.
Yeah.
All the people leaving are meant to leave, period.
Yes, I love it. Enjoy it. And it's this social summer. Summer is this social time. Set up those. I mean, for me, I'm always like, oh, cooking is so inexpensive. That's why I do it all the time. But it's like I go out to dinner these days. Like almost every night, I go sit with someone else at dinner outside. So yeah.
But that's really what you should be doing. It's like talking more, being more curious, just understanding that you don't understand. That's the best thing you can do.
Great. Okay. We have 20 seconds to thank you. You're amazing. Gosh. Okay. People, go on Wednesday to her full moon ritual. All you have to do is look at the Moonual. You register. You can do it for free. You can donate, whatever you want.
It's going to be so fun. You got to come.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you
My
Thursday
pleasure.
for your session, okay?
Oh, okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay. Love you. Bye.